Hey, I'm Kristi Mitchell, and welcome to Unfudge Your Marketing, the show where we talk about what really happens when marketing doesn't go according to plan. Every week, I sit down with business owners and leaders to unpack the missteps, the experiments that didn't land, and the decisions they'd probably rethink if given a do-over. But more importantly, we talk about what they learned on the other side and what you can take with you as you build your own business. Success rarely comes from getting it right the first time. It comes from taking action, making mistakes, adjusting, and showing up again and again. If you've ever wondered whether you are the only one figuring this out as you go, you're in the right place. Today, I am so excited to welcome Ron Klinger to the show. Ron is a dynamic leadership strategist, and let me just tell you, the emphasis is on dynamic. You will see what I mean here in just a minute. He's a dynamic leadership strategist, facilitator, and coach with more than 2 decades of experience helping individuals and organizations grow, perform, and thrive. As founder and chief engagement officer of Motivational Transitions, he equips leaders and teams with practical tools, real-world strategies, and engaging learning experiences that drive immediate results. Known for his contagious energy and people-first approach, Ron transforms every room into a space for connection, growth, and possibility. His authentic, optimistic, and collaborative style has made him a trusted partner to corporations, universities, nonprofits, and school districts across the country. With that, I will welcome Ron to the show.
Howdy. Got to bring that flavor since I'm in Houston, Texas. Got to bring that howdy.
Yes, I love it. We were talking right before we came on. I always love your energy. I appreciate it. Ron and I met through Andrew Biernat's Business Development Power Hour group, and we meet on Monday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern, which is even earlier for you in Texas. And Ron, do you even drink coffee, or do you just wake up with this immense amount of energy that you have?
It's going down that journey of self-awareness, and I have to claim it because it is what it is. You don't get much more extroverted, so I feed off the power of connecting with other people, which is, thankful that I've landed in the profession that I've landed in to do that.
I love it. I love it. So I'm really excited for this conversation today. When we talked about having Ron come on the show, he actually had a very recent experience with marketing and putting on an event and really promoting that event and it not going according to how he had hoped that it would. And so I was like, oh, Ron, would you by any chance be willing to come on my show and talk about this experience? And he said, of course.
Yeah, it's one of those wonderful conversations where I think if you've ever been in the world, you have, it's either a growth or a fixed mindset. I've got a growth mindset. So we're going to fail forward. That's exactly what, and it's, you got to live and you got to learn. And, because out here in the world, like what you do, Kristi, and again, thank you for the opportunity to talk shop and chop it up today. We have a choice, when we go out and we decide to start our own business, do what we do, solopreneur, a very small team, right? You're the engine, right? I don't drink coffee, but you would make the coffee, you make the copies, right? You do everything from A to Z, and it's engaging work, it's energizing work, but sometimes I think the big message and the number one takeaway, and I can tell you more, but is sometimes you got to eat your own dog food. And what I mean by that is I need to practice a little what I preach, because that's, if I would have, I might have been a little bit more successful.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and that's what we're going to unpack here today. So it was a workshop, right, that you were getting ready to put on?
Yeah. So I've been fortunate and blessed. I was introduced. There's a tool that I use in my business called Insights Discovery. It's a Jungian-based psychometric personality tool that, in my humble opinion, there's great tools out there. There's many that do the same or similar thing, but none do it quite as good or as easy to use as Insights. So I've been using it since 2004. I started when I was 16, if that makes any sense. And so what I was able to do is, it was a workshop, and I'm often afforded the blessing to go into organizations, into teams, and really help people better understand themselves and one another, improve communication, and Kristi, post-COVID, it's really been even more about developing that significant human connection, right? We got all isolated and put into our domiciles, right, in various forms and fashions around the globe. And I don't think we've come out of that with really good grace. And so going back to work, return to office, right, it creates a different dynamic and a change. And even though we didn't do that for, 3 years, a decade or more, it still changed human behavior and how we show up. And so I've had a chance to go in and do that. And I typically, it's great. Everyone's like, oh my goodness gracious, this is a great thing. And how did they know this about me? But then I don't really get the opportunity to go back because they go back to the work that they're doing. And there's so much more that I can give. So I'm like, I need to do a deeper dive into insights and help keep it alive. So the workshop was a deeper dive, keeping insights alive, right? I the jingle, it worked. I played and came up with a graphic that I never could have created on my own, thanks to the advent of some AI and being very specific and explicit about what I wanted. But the gift that I relied too much on, Kristi, is I have a targeted and curated list. And what I mean by that is because people have taken this over the years, I have individuals who already know me, who've already been through the training, who already have a profile. So I'm not having to introduce anything new to them. So I laid all my laurels on those factors in addition to the email that I go out. So when I tell you, and we've talked about different versions of software, I'm still I'm not sure if I'm 100% sold on the data, but when I'm seeing 70 and 60 and 65 and 68 as I look over at the screen, open rates of my emails with that audience, I'm pretty jazzed.
Yeah, for sure.
That's good stuff. And so what I wound up doing by getting some of that going, and I thought I had enough time. I thought I advertised it well in advance. And when I tell you what I did, so completely revamped my entire website. So I'm like, holy smoke sausage, people are going to now have to go and find this information. And then I just kept evolving and evolving and evolving. It took about 2 weeks to put together the marketing plan, from the website to the content to the text, right? To all that had to happen. And then I had to build the process, and I chose to use Eventbrite. Those registrations, oh my goodness. I mean, you want to talk about the learning curve going straight uphill. It was a lot.
Yeah.
I skipped an important step, Kristi. I skipped an important step. I rushed. So if another tool I use in my business is the Strengths Finder from Gallup. Yes. And
love it.
Yes. So you ready? Are you familiar with the 34 talent themes? So you probably already, if you're familiar with them, you probably are hearing that one of mine is activator. So what that strength and what that talent theme is in the language of that tool is, I'm the person that's sitting in the room or at the table or a part of the team is like, hey, this is a great idea. And I'll be and my other strengths complement what's coming to the table. But I'm the one that will sit there, and then after a certain long time of pontificating, and as we go back and forth, I'll be like, are we going to just talk about it, or are we going to be about it and do it? So my strength of getting something started actually became a weakness or a barrier to my success. And what I did, the biggest learn, is I skipped one of my own formulas of success that I teach others of define, measure, which is what I didn't do, so that I can manage. So define, measure, manage. I defined it. I knew what I wanted to do, but what I didn't do, Kristi, is I didn't solicit input from my audience as to the date, the time, the duration.
Okay.
And when I go back and now I'm asking those questions, hey, if you were not able to attend, what were some of the reasons as to why? Right. Sorry, Radio Ron voice came out there just temporarily.
I love the Radio Ron voice.
Back after these messages. So what I began to learn is that I asked, okay, so obviously that did not go well. First thing, I chose the month of May. Why? Because I had enough time to advertise in advance to do it. And I'm thinking, not my audience, Ron thinks he has all the answers, right? I thought getting it done before summer hits was a good thing. I thought, okay, I'll do it a couple weeks in the middle of May. I've got a month and a half to advertise this. I've got high levels of engagement. Like I got fireworks and energy all around this plan. If I didn't ask the most critical questions of when, how long, and what I'm finding is post that having to cancel that workshop, which was wonderful because I had a partner. We comped space for their people to attend. Like it was going to be great. I didn't ask the duration question. I didn't ask what worked for the audience so that I could plan accordingly and then market to that need. And what I have found out is a 6-hour on a Friday on the middle of May was probably one of the worst times I could have scheduled the event. Not that I still believe the event and I'm being affirmed it has value. It was time and duration that I could have been more informed to make a better decision as to how to market it to help the event be successful.
Yes. Okay. All right. So many things to unpack here.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask the question, but you just got to it. So the timeline that you gave yourself to promote this workshop was a month and a half.
Yep.
A month and a half. Like that's a long time to promote. So that was, I mean, first of all, I want to give you kudos for making sure that you had that amount of time. Because a lot of times I think businesses are like, oh yeah, we're going to put together this event. And I don't know, we got like a couple weeks to promote it. And then before you realize it, right, as you're trying to get everything together, you're like, wait a minute, now we only have a week. Wait a minute, now we only have a few days.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you did make a really good decision in terms of making sure you had enough runway to properly promote it. It sounds like you did a great job making sure that your website was up to date because you knew that people were going to be looking at that as a result of, you know, promoting this workshop that you were doing. So you did a lot of really good things, Ron.
Oh, no. And Kristi, I appreciate hearing that because it was a kick in the gut when you go from, when you go from the level of engagement. Again, I want to rephrase this. So if anyone's listening in, this is not an email distribution list that I've got a funnel to create, right? Mm-hmm. This is a curated, already established relationships. They know what I bring to the table. Like, so it's a gold mine, right? And I mean that not because like, oh my gosh, I'm going to maximize everything, but in the world of connecting with those that you're called to serve, I can't get any more targeted than that audience. Like it is the penultimate of a targeted audience. And when I started to get, open rates and people, if you're out there and you're listening and if you understand email and email campaigns, like when I tell people, Kristi, and I shared with you, oh, by the way, I had an email in April that had a 73% open rate of close to 400 people in it.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's a huge level of engagement. When I tell you that, and again, this is where I have to test, and I'll leave the vendor out at this stage of the ball game. Excuse me, but I have to go back. I'm trying to figure out how to litmus test the data the metrics I'm getting back from that campaign. But when I see not only that high level, and we'll just call it a 65% average, right? The high was 73. The low has been in the 30s lately because of the end of the school year and summer's coming. And I anticipated that, which is why I wanted to get it done in advance, right? Mm-hmm. But when you're averaging around a 65, 68% open rate, and certain emails have a click rate of over 50%, and you have clicks in the 1800s and 1700s and 1100s and the 1200 numbers of clicks by all those people that open it, like I'm like, I mean, I'm doing the happy dance. I'm like, woohoo, right?
Yeah.
Let's get the rave going. I mean, like I'm all over this every bit, upside down, left and right, backwards and forwards. And I've told people that like, holy smoke sauce, that's insane. I'm like, yeah, it is insane. Yeah. So I rested all my laurels on that engagement, which again has dropped off, right? And the more that I go out. So what I do each Monday, and again, this targeted audience, and anybody that I take through the Insights training gets added into that because to me, whoever their organization is, they've made an investment. I want to make sure that that investment stays alive because I believe that much in the tool. So I send out just a tip every Monday, right, of how to use it, what to do. It's called Keeping Insights Alive, and I'll use a specific topic because who doesn't want more significant, meaningful relationships, either personally or professionally? Anyone not want that in their life? And that's what the tool can provide. So I just put all my eggs in that basket.
Yeah. Well, and I think that is a really important point. I'm glad you brought it up again, is that the people you were marketing this event to already knew you. Yeah. They've already had an experience with you. I would venture to say the majority of those people probably thought it to be an overwhelmingly positive experience with you. Yep. And so to market an event to those types of people, you would think would be a lot easier rather than, an event where you're trying to get out in front of brand new people who may never have heard of you yet. Right. And so it totally makes sense that you're like, yeah, I got this list. These people already know me. We did this one day thing whenever it might have happened, right? Because you've been building this list over time, but they've already had experience with me and this tool. And so it should be a pretty easy sell to get them to want to come back and do this workshop. And you're doing these emails and you're getting this great data, all these big open rates and engagement on the emails. And you're like, okay, this is great. I want to ask the question, Ron, just to give listeners a sense of this. Do you remember approximately how many emails you sent in this 1.5 month period of time?
I can tell you exactly. I'm pulling up the dashboard here.
Okay, awesome.
I can tell you.
I love data, first of all.
Yes.
So you don't know me that well yet, Ron, but I do love data.
Oh, I love
from
data.
A marketing standpoint.
Well, so let me pause for 2 seconds and then I'll tell you the magic number here, Kristi, because I'm glad you asked that. So the reason I say I love the data, and I go back to this, and I've done, you can take the formula, define, measure, manage, and put it in multiple fashions, right? So the key is, in this particular area, like a workshop, define, well, what am I going to do? I also learned that I missed a little bit of that too, because if I would have, I was trying to curate input from the audience because I wanted that experience to meet them at the best possible place. So I didn't put together a full agenda other than the skeleton without the specific topics. And they're like, and one feedback was like, I would have liked to know more about what was going to be covered in the workshop. And I'm like, oh, now I purposely, not transparently and culpa mia, right? I purposely held off on that because I was trying to get some other additional feedback from them to say, hey, I can do this topic, and this topic. So I need to take the bull by the horns. And because I'm in Texas and I am an Aggie, I'm going to saw those horns off because that's what we do in Texas because of the school that's in Austin that we don't talk about. But again, I got enamored with all of the data that I was seeing. So the total emails that I've sent to date over the last 90 days, 4,620. The open rate, because again, it's come down a little bit, is still 53.83%, which is insane, right? Yeah. The click rate in the last 9 days is 37%.
Which is also insane.
And so my emails are short, right? I put the amount of reading time in, less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's the same consistent template and all the good things that you're supposed to do. But again, I go back to define, measure, manage. My learning, if I go back and this is going to, oh my gosh, I'm going to admit this, but this is going to sound kind of crazy. Because of what I've done in my background in HR and organizational development and helping others, and I'm working solo, Kristi. So this, I don't know if you do this in your world too. So please, if you do, please say yes so that I'm not crazy in this regard. But I often have to put myself into a position where I call it Ron speak. And what I mean by that is if someone came to me seeking advice or guidance with the same problem that I, Ron Klinger, am having right now, what would I, if they were on the other side of the equation, what are the questions I would ask that person? And what advice would I give them? So I have to get into my own Ron speak because that's how I've made a living. And I don't always listen to myself. So it's pretty bad.
Okay, so is it safe to say then, I'm just like trying to extrapolate the numbers here. So you said it was like 4,000 emails. So was that like 10 campaigns? to the list
So,
of 100 people
yep,
around something like
yep,
that?
yeah. So I have
Okay.
sent. I am on issue 11 that just went out this week. So those data includes what went out, what I call a
Yep.
Mon Tuesday, which is the Tuesday after a holiday,
Yes.
because it sure as heck feels like a Monday.
Yes.
So it has been. It was 10 leading up to, and then the 11th
Yep.
came in.
Okay.
Started out with old email addresses, so a lot of things bounced. So again, we have to manage the data, right? So it got clearer and clearer.
Clean them out.
And again, like 71%, 69, 65, 68, 69,
Yeah.
69, 66, right? Like,
Yeah.
woo, this is good, right?
Yes.
You know,
Well, and I think it's so interesting, Ron, because so often I see the other side of the data where business owners maybe get a little too wrapped up in numbers that don't look the way they want them to. So this is a very different conversation we're having today, in that you're seeing all these numbers that are indicating to you, these people really care. Like, they're really interested in this workshop I'm going to host. And so you're thinking that those registrations are going to reflect that, right? That will be the result that you get, was all these people are opening, they're clicking on the emails, I'm going to get people registered. This is going to be a super successful event. And it sounds like what you've been sharing here is the time of year was a big factor. Maybe not the best month. Maybe the duration and the day of the week was also not ideal for the people you were targeting. And this last piece that you shared too, not being specific enough in terms of what that workshop was going to entail, might have affected some people's decision on whether or not they were signing up.
Yeah.
Is that all accurate?
It is. It is. And I think, Kristi, what I leaned in, which is, you know, if folks that have gone through trainings or support that I have provided, I leaned in on that other area of strength, which is I build relationships pretty quickly, and I'm not here to boast, but I relied too much on that trust factor, right? I relied too much on the data that was demand. And again, it's easy to get, I used the term earlier, I'm going to use it again, enamored. When you're seeing this data, you're like doing the happy dance, you're doing a celebration. You know, and I think what it's done for me is it's allowed me to look in that rear view mirror, right, to be reflective and say, okay, what went well? And I'm trying, do an after action report, right?
Yeah.
What, any campaign or marketing campaign you've done, I'm sure you've done the same thing. I know enough to be dangerous, Kristi, right?
Yes.
Just not enough to be a professional in it. But I know enough to be dangerous. So that after action, what went well? And there were some things that really did go well. So it's what went well, what might need to be modified, and what just bombed, right? Because I think you can't just look at it and good and bad, right?
I love that.
I think that there's that gray scale in the middle of something that maybe was executed well but didn't hit, right? So it just needs a tweak versus the things that just kaboom, right? And the kaboom, right, that I'm talking about that you've hit and summarized is I didn't pulse the audience time and duration and dates in advance. I didn't have any pushback, at least, in the data that I've got, which is a small sample set on the survey, that it wasn't about, my boss not giving support. It wasn't a budgetary, because again, I was doing I did an early bird. Like every little thing that you can imagine, right? I extended the early bird when there were early birds.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, well, we're going to just take this and move it a little bit forward. But again, being able to, as I opened up, I think our conversation, it's about failing forward. What can I learn? What can I take away? And then what can I implement to set myself up for future success?
Yes.
That I just got going. And again, to your point, and I appreciate the affirmation that there were signs of, here's a clear runway, let's go. We're boarding the plane, everybody on board. That some of those major indicators that led me down that path. So I just, again, data and feedback is critical. And that's what I'm going to do going forward, is go back to that audience. I'm going to do some more. There was a preference for smaller workshops, right? Some still wanted to do in person because the experience that is and connecting with others. And then the other part that's there is crazy, but and again, I'm not surprised, but it's a telltale of the times as well. A lot of folks would have preferred virtual.
Mm,
And
yeah.
and so I did a little projection of, oh, let's get you all together. Let's have a great event, because that's what I would prefer. That's how I learned.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
I still think it would have worked, but I also have to honor the preferences of folks that are coming in, to where they may be more introverted and like, I don't want to go into a room of people whom I don't know. I already did that at work and it was a little
Right.
awkward. I don't want to do that in an audience of just the general population, if you will, of Ron's
Right.
circle. So I have to go. I'm going to go back and pull some additional data on those preferences that I can pull together to understand that entire audience, right? Because that'll give me more information. Again, to your point with the data.
For sure. And again, Ron, like that is something that I hope you're giving yourself credit for. The fact that you had this experience, you thought the event was going to be wildly successful for a number of very valid reasons. The event was not as successful as you had hoped in terms of registrations. And you immediately jump to, okay, what can I do differently for next time? Like that takes a lot, and not all business owners are able to make that shift, especially as quickly as it sounds like you did. You went right from like, okay, this didn't go how I wanted. How can I gain feedback from the people who didn't come that I wanted to come? And how can I use that to move forward and figure out what does the next iteration of this look like? So I really want to give you credit for that.
Well, thank you, Kristi.
Not that you need it from me, but like, I hope you're giving yourself credit.
Well, again, here's the part too. And I don't know who else dialing in from the listenership, right? From an audience, the data, as we're going to talk about it. But what I do know, here's some things that I do know. I do know that there are more people in today's wild, ludicrous. I did, and I'm going to preface this, but I did a workshop in front of 150 HR professionals recently, and I asked them, how would you describe the current job market, right? And these are HR professionals. And I did a word cloud with a Mentimeter in the presentation.
Oh gosh.
And competitive was the largest word, but the most shocking was schizophrenic. So our job market is having multiple personalities right now.
Yes.
And the reason I bring that up is, and again, this is that part of that passion that I genuinely I care, because you've got people trying to do what they can do, Kristi, whether it's a fractional marketing, fractional CFO. You know, the term fractional has become more diversified and more known than ever. You've got a lot of people who are trying to go out and make it on their own. And the thing that I greatly appreciate is being able to talk shop with you, hopefully sharing these messages that someone else can live and learn from. But at the same time, you got to have your tribe. So I'm grateful to Andrew for the biz dev. That would have never gotten us together right here, because here I am in Texas, right? I'm in an entirely different time zone, entirely different region of the United States, and we can have this conversation and connect each Monday when we're able to participate. But it's one of those things where I don't have the luxury of wallowing in my own self-pity.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
Pull yourself up and get back at it.
I don't have that luxury. So I am driven by my beliefs. I'm driven by the audience, the connections, the personal relationships that I've got in there. And I desperately and genuinely, like, I'm here to serve. Like, you know, I'm sure have you ever heard of the poem called The Dash?
Yes.
So like my dad, and if you've not heard it out there, it's a famed story that Lou Holtz made very popular with his days coaching at Notre Dame. And there's a whole big story, but the essence of it is, and again, we all have a birth date, we all have an expiration date, right? And what really matters is, what does that dash represent? I've been very clear to my family and friends and everybody, like, my dash, I don't need anything other than he served. I'm here to serve. I'm here to help others win and succeed. And so that's what drives me. So I'm going to find, and I'm going to, with that mission and with that purpose in mind, Kristi, I'm going to fail forward, but I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to find out what worked, what maybe needs tweaked, what bombed. I'm going to improve upon that. And what that's led me down to is I'm going to do, and I've got this week to figure out what it is, because I said I'd do it on the email yesterday. I'm going to put out a summer series of lunch and learns, just do little 1 hour nuggets and use that as an opportunity to that same audience, do it, still connect, still go deeper, but do it for free, right? Come in during your lunch. Here are the dates. Here's the Insights Deeper Dive Lunch and Learn Summer Series, and then use that opportunity to better understand, because I still believe that a collective event is still in there. I need to do a better connection to some of the folks and figure that out. So again, falling forward the best way that I know how. But again, the only reason I told my little story there is when you go out and you do this work that you're doing, that I'm doing, you've got to know yourself. You've got to know your mission. You've got to know your purpose, because the world will kick you down. The world will beat you up, and you have a choice. Are you going to get up? Or are you going to sit over there and throw your 2 or 3 day pity party, right? Or you're just going to get right back up on that horse because you fell off and you're going to keep going. So,
I love it. Ron, that is such a great note for us to end on. I normally ask, like, what is one last piece of advice? But I feel like you just shared it. Like, all of those things you just said, like, those are the things. That is what Ron wants you to take away from this conversation today.
No, I appreciate it, Kristi. It's just, I've got 2 degrees in education, right? And you don't go into that world without a desire to help others. You just don't. You just don't.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not here grandstanding. I'm just somebody that's been on this walk, this journey called life long enough to understand who I am, what I'm doing, and what it is. And that's the piece that gets me up each day. That's the piece that has me motivated to dance forward.
I love it. Ron, as we wrap up this conversation today, very lastly, how can people reach out to connect with you and to learn more about the work that you do?
Amen, Kristi. I appreciate that. And again, thank you so much for the opportunity. I hope that your listeners have gotten a lot from today. Best way to reach me, the absolute best, is go out on LinkedIn, Ron Klinger. It's literally Ron Klinger at the end of the profile. In Houston, Texas, so you're easy to find it from a region as well. No, I'm not the Ron Klinger that is the world-renowned bridge authority on the card game bridge. He's from Australia. And ironically, we've chatted because we share the same name. The small world that is, and the way that interconnectivity and degrees of separation. But LinkedIn's the best place. Search for Ron Klinger. And then the other area where I'm continuing to morph and to design and to update is on my website. You can go to motivationaltransitions.com, or short MTRAN, MTRAN, because I've been doing it long enough where back in the day your URL was shorter versus a full definition. But I have both, so you can go to motivationaltransitions.com to learn more and engage with me there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ron. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show and share your honest experience so that we can benefit all the listeners.
Grateful for the opportunity, Kristi. I love being a part of it. Thank you so much.
Thanks. All right, everybody. Until next time.